Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts as we sit right now. 4.5s and 5s are available out there. There's 1 5.5 available at faraway places. Wondering if maybe we end up getting some Jaguars money a little bit coming in here. 46.5 is the prevailing total in this one. Steven, I'll start with you. Of course, a lot of buzz about the Jags. And hey, listen, the Colts, Jonathan Taylor not going to be out there. Don't really know if that really matters when you look at this roster up and down.
Let's start with Trevor Lawrence, because a light switch went off for him about halfway through the year last year. And, usually you see that in a player's rookie year, but when Urban Meyer is your head coach in your rookie season, then it might take till year 2. So Doug Peterson's done this before with Carson Wentz. And I think all of us would agree that Trevor Lawrence appears to be a heck of a lot more talented than Carson Wentz ever was. So the fact that Trevor Lawrence in the second half of last year was ranking in EPA per attempt, which, for those joining the podcast for the first time, some of the big advanced metrics we use, EPA, success rate, far more predictive than the traditional stats you'll see on the mainstream statistical websites like yards per carry and, points per game, those type of things. So to put that in perspective, Mahomes is typically the leader year in and year out in EPA per attempt. And Trevor Lawrence from week 9 on last year was second in that category, just ahead of Patrick Mahomes. And now they add Calvin Ridley. They play an Indianapolis secondary in this game that not very talented, to put it mildly. And they play a lot of zone, which Trevor Lawrence did very well against a year ago. So I expect them to win this game pretty easily. Now, there's certainly a process debate here to be had, guys. This line was 3.5 for most of the offseason. The Jonathan Taylor stuff pops up. Now we're looking at 4.5 and 5. Is a running back really worth that much to this spread? I open the floor to debate for you guys, because, I guess you can come in on the contrarian side here and maybe take Indianapolis based on that angle.
Yeah, I don't think the move really had anything to do with the running back. I think it was that Anthony Richardson got named the starter. And so I think that if you look at the Colts, they're probably a better team today with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. Like, they probably have a better chance to keep games close and be better with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. So I think the move really was off of Anthony Richardson getting named starter. And, Adam, as we look at this, Anthony Richardson's ceiling could be like one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL when it's all said and done, but his floor could also be the absolute worst quarterback in the NFL. I think it's going to take a learning curve here for him. I think that we're going to see some pretty steep mistakes and things like that from him early on, which is why I actually did play the Jags as well. I didn't think I was going to have having as many week 1 plays as I did, but I have the Jags at 4.5. I feel pretty confident about it. I'm pretty high on the Jags overall in the season as it is anyway. But listen, first game out there for Anthony Richardson. Yeah, he might run for 60 or 70 yards in this game, but he also might have a couple of really bad throws, missed receivers, couple picks, maybe even a fumble or something along the way. I expect him to give the ball to the Jags at least once, if not twice, and I think that'll be enough for us to cover the 4.5. What are you looking at in this one?
I already have Jags -5. I don't love laying that big with a favorite on the road, but if ever there was a spot that just screams, go for this. This is the one. I make this game by my numbers Jags 7. So really anything under the touchdown is going to be fine for me. And to Steven's point, if you want to say it's about Jonathan Taylor, right? I'll play the devil's advocate on that and say, okay, let's say the move's about Jonathan Taylor. Well, a move from 3.5 to 4 to 4.5 to 5, it doesn't matter. Like ultimately, that's not even really truly a 1.5 move in the same way we would discuss a 1.5 move somewhere else. Those are numbers that really ultimately don't mean a whole lot. So if ever there were going to be some sort of move by a non-quarterback that did make numbers move, it's in this area that I think you would see it. What's interesting to me is that this game continues to sit 46.5, because I don't see the Colts as a team that's going to be able to chase, right? I don't think Anthony Richardson is going to be able to chase in this game. And so even if you think the Jags are going to go put up 30 points against Indianapolis, they're certainly not going to continue to expose Trevor Lawrence throughout this game. If they get up 20, 24 points, they're going to be pounding the ball over and over again. So I think you also could take a look at the under if you were a little bit scared of the Jags. If maybe you thought to yourself, okay, maybe in week 1, Calvin Ridley hasn't played for a whole long time. Maybe the offense isn't quite ready to click. Cam Robinson's going to miss the first 4 games, and so their offensive line's a little bit unsettled. Maybe you look at it as an underplay then, because I have a really difficult time seeing how Jacksonville puts up more than 14 in this game.
Yeah, listen, Anthony Richardson's rushing prop is sitting at 47.5. That might be the lowest we see it for like a while. The dude, look, they're going to have design runs for him anyway. And as we know about these young athletic quarterbacks, it's like first read's not there, I'm gone, right? He's going to take off and run. He might be like 60 moving forward as far as like a rushing prop goes. So just keep that in mind. I don't know if we'll see a 47 on Anthony Richardson anytime soon. Again, I think it's going to take him a while to adapt.
Can I play devil's advocate here just a little bit, because
well, sure.
It is week 1. We are still dealing with complete unknowns here with these rookie quarterbacks. I acknowledge that the range of outcomes with Anthony Richardson is probably wider than any of these rookie quarterbacks that we'll talk about. But I do want to at least acknowledge that, there's been some Justin Fields comparisons with the rushing ability and the athleticism. But the one big difference I saw, at least statistically in college, and then what Justin Fields has put on the field coming out of college, Justin Fields had issues with sacks in college, and it was exacerbated in the NFL. He's taken far too many sacks, even on top of his rushing ability and the stats he's put up there. Anthony Richardson's actually been elite in his college debut, even though the completion percentage wasn't there. It was really bad. But in terms of avoiding sacks, which are drive killers, he was among the best in the league just because he's so big and physical and hard to bring down. So I'm at least curious, early in his NFL career, if that's going to allow him to keep some drives and keep some plays alive. So we'll see what happens, but I wonder if he can kind of just muck this up a little bit, turn it into some schoolyard ball against some bad secondaries, and maybe be at least more productive than we mostly expect.
Well, all right. So to go to that point, guys, let's say he can keep a play alive, right? Do we trust he can make the throw?
I was going to say, is that a good thing? I don't even know if that's a good thing.
Like they might lead to worse outcomes ultimately if he's keeping plays alive too long, if he's not throwing the ball away. So, and if I wanted to talk about the sample you're talking about in itself, the Anthony Richardson sample size is way smaller than the Justin Fields sample size is ultimately here too. Fair. So I mean, we have a lot to find out about all of the rookie quarterbacks, but I don't know that I want him keeping plays alive.
Yeah, I think they probably tell him, hey, man, you go do you. Like, we ain't winning a bunch of games as it is anyway, and so you go do you. He's going to get 6 designed runs minimum, and I think he scrambles at least another 4 or 5 times, and if that's the case, like that 47 yards, he's going to end up with 60 or 70 yards. That's just kind of my feeling. I think I probably will end up on that one as well. I thought for sure we'd be looking at like low 50s total on his rushing prop. That's not the case. And as we record this here on Thursday evening.